What's up guys, I'm Phoenix Master 1 and welcome back for some more Fire Emblem Heroes. In this video I'm going to be giving you guys my first impression and the stat speculation of the Bridal Banner that we have got this year, and it comes out tomorrow. So the first thing that we have is Bride Nailah. So it has been a while since we have got a BC net, I guess, and Bride Nailah is a green infantry BC net, and I'm actually really happy that she got this bridal alt. So her weapon is Bride's Fang. It gives her -1 special cooldown, and at start of combat, if the foe is above 75% health, then it inflicts -5 attack speed and defense debuff on them. And if the special triggers before or during the combat, then she gets -1 special cooldown after the combat. So it's basically like a mini special spiral in the way, and the in-combat debuffs are super good, and they can stack up with visible debuffs. And the HP condition is also not as strict as some of the other weapons that require your foe to be at 100% HP. So that's much better, I would say. And of course the secondary effect is the standard effect that all infantry BC nets have got, which is having +2 attack and getting +10 damage whenever the special triggers. She's got Moonbow, which becomes a 1-turn cooldown special, and it doesn't have the best synergy, I guess, with the in-combat defense debuff that she does on the enemy, so I guess you could always run Glimmer, but that's just me. Her slotted skill is Sparrow 3, which is really interesting because distant counter on normal Nailah is a fully enemy phase skill, and Sparrow is a completely player phase skill, so I do expect her to be really fast. Her slot B skill is Shield Speed Defense 2, which is alright. Not the biggest fan of these dual shield skills, but they do have their place and they can be pretty nice for utility. Her slotty skill is the exclusive skill Glare that she has got even on her normal version. It's a pretty nice utility skill actually many times. Bride Nailah appears to be a pretty fun unit honestly because of her weapon. It's not going to be too overpowered because we already have stuff like Ares, and we can use Young Marth with special spiral and Vantage, so stuff like that is possible. So having a mini special spiral isn't the most broken thing, but there's also the fact that she can get the vote out damage when she's transformed, so that can definitely help her with some damage output. And she also has the in-combat debuffs, which are pretty nice. So overall, I think that Bride Nailah is going to be insanely fast from what I've calculated. And right here, when she does Moonbow, we can calculate the defense of this Lance Fighter. And it is pretty much similar to what these generic Lance Fighters have, which is around 30. So I just use that information to speculate her stats. So I think she's going to be having anywhere from 34 attack to maybe 36 at the most. I don't think she's going to be having the highest attack. Normal Nailah doesn't have a very high attack anyways, and I think she's going to be pretty fast at 40 base speed or even higher. She could be lower than that, similar to a normal Nailah, but I just feel like she's going to be much faster in this version because she's got Sparrow, and her defense and resistance is going to be pretty workable. If this kind of stat spread is on her, then you could definitely try some fun things with this encounter Vantage because of her mini special spiral, and because it's a special spiral, it doesn't really work with Guild Force, so it isn't really going to be helping you there. But -1's cooldown, having vote out damage, and having mini special spiral is all really fun to me. The next thing that we have is Bride Oboro. So it seems like a lot of people were pretty spot on with their speculation of the silhouette. It did end up being Oboro, as a lot of people were expecting, and she's a sword infantry unit, so never really expected Oboro to have a sword. I would have seen her being a magic user, I guess, because of the promoted class, but in any case, she's got this inheritable weapon called Pledge Blade Plus. If any kind of visible status or buff is active on Oboro, then she gives herself +4 attack and defense during the combat, and special cooldown charge +1 per foe's attack during the combat. So it's definitely really similar to Owain's Mistletoe, Ringcast Club, and of course the most recent one, Gwendolyn's Weapon Refined. So she can get extra special cooldown on enemies' attacks, and this is a really nice thing for a lot of tanks, especially armor units who can combo this up with Bullfighter or Vengeful Fighter. In general, this can be pretty useful because this can allow you to retaliate back with a 2-turn cooldown special, and this inheritable weapon is definitely really good. But the thing is that I don't see a lot of sword units who don't already have a preferred weapon. So for those who don't have a preferred weapon, I guess this could definitely find a use, and on its own, it's like a pretty good weapon, I would say. Assist skill is Rally Attack Resistance, Attack Defense Form 3, and Odd Pulse Tie as a counterpart to Nil's Even Pulse Tie. I'm not the biggest fan of Odd Pulse Tie. I think Even Pulse Tie is much better because the use of these two skills are mainly in ether raids against infantry pulse teams, and Even Pulse Tie is a bit better because it can activate on turn 2, turn 4, and turn 6, as opposed to Odd Pulse Tie, which can activate on turn 3 and 5 and on turn 7, but at that point it's too late, I would say. Usually you shouldn't really wait till the last turn in most cases. And you might have wondered why I didn't say turn 1. The reason is that it doesn't matter if it activates on turn 1 in ether raids, because the enemies don't get their special on your player phase. For example, if you face Duma on the enemy's team, Duma doesn't like break your structures and do damage with upheaval at the start of the map. Instead, he does that at start of the turn. So Odd Pulse Tie activating on turn 1 isn't really going to be helping you all that much, I would say. So Even Pulse Tie is still better, but in general, like, both of these skills do help you against infantry pulse teams, and this can definitely be put on someone like Iago, I guess, who does have pretty high HP and in general is a support unit and any kind of high HP dancer. Just being a sword infantry unit with not a preferred weapon is going to be pretty hard, but I do think that she is going to be having interesting stat spread. From what I calculated based on this combat, I think she's going to be ending up with similar stat spread to her normal version, but having more stats because of more BST. So she's going to be having more attack, speed, defense, and resistance. And this is a pretty similar stat spread to Itsuki, except for the fact that he has got a preferred weapon. So I can see Oboro getting this type of stat spread, because here she actually doubles this cleric. So I don't think she's going to be that min-maxed by having super low speed. So she's just going to take out this cleric. And then we've got Rafiel. So he's the groom of Nailah, and a lot of people are really surprised by that, but I remember like a Radiant Dawn relationship chart or something where they explicitly stated that these two are married. So I would say this was already canon before it was in FEH. He's an infantry blue beast dancer, and I really love the reference that he's not a flying dancer like Leon or Raisin. So yeah, bonus points for that. A really nice reference. So he comes with Groom's Wing, which gives him +3 resistance, and at start of turn 1, if he has got any kind of support partner, then he gives them -1 special cooldown, which is so good because it can help you make Gale Force into a 4-turn cooldown special, or it can even help you set up Special Spiral. So this kind of effect is similar to what we saw on Veluria, but Veluria gives you -2 special cooldown, and she also gives that to herself. But Rafiel here is a dancer, so he can actually dance, unlike Veluria. So he can provide you with the support and also act as a refresher. So that's really good for support. So this is a pretty unique effect for a dancer, all things considered. And I can definitely see it being a really strong tool to be used on a Gale Force team. Just don't expect Gale Force teams to pop up only because of him, because Gale Force teams like take a lot of strategy, a lot of planning, and a lot of calculations beforehand, before even the match begins. But in case you use them, then yeah, this is gonna be a really good thing for you. And even if you use like a nuke with 3 dancers for clearing up a lot of the in-game content, you could use Rafiel because he can provide you that -1 special cooldown, and that can help your nuke set up something like Special Spiral if you have that on them. So I'm pretty happy with him, and he comes with Firestorm Dance and Ward Beast, which is whatever, but I guess Ward Beast being easily available is going to be nice because Rafiel is a 4-star focus unit of this banner, so it's going to be much easier for you to get him. So in case you run any kind of Gale Force team, or you just like to run a Special Spiral nuke a lot of times, then -1 special cooldown is going to be pretty useful to you. Overall, a really nice niche, I love that. And he can also provide you with Infantry Pulse support because he doesn't have the lowest HP for a dancer. 38 is pretty decent, I would say, but the only problem is that he cannot have a refinable weapon like Ninian or Sylvia to increase his HP further for the Infantry Pulse. So that could always be an issue, and that's one of the reasons why like I didn't invest into a Raisin for my Ether Raids defense team and instead went with New Year's Azura, because not having a refinable weapon on a dancer can definitely hurt them because they want to have more HP to avoid like isolation from something like Bridal Fiorm. But yeah, here we can see a 4-star blue mage being attacked by Rafiel, and whenever you see like a 4-star, 3-star unit getting dunked on, just assume that the unit does not have a very high attack. So I think that Rafiel is going to be having somewhere around 30 attack, could be even lower actually, and I think he's going to be having pretty high speed and high resistance with having low defense. So that is just my speculation on him. He's not a 3-movement dancer like Raisin or Leon, but still, his effect is pretty cool, I would say. I like it. And the final unit on this banner is Bridal Duo Micaiah with Soth. So this is pretty much a canonical couple because of their ending in Radiant Dawn and how they come with like a support right off the bat. So you would actually have to go out of your way to prevent them from getting married. So I really like Soth, and I do like Micaiah, but I'm not the biggest fan of this ship. But as I said, I can see why they put this in Fae, and she is the second colorless mage we have got after Bramimond, and she's a flying colorless mage, so that is super unique. And as you would expect out of any kind of Micaiah, she does have the dual effectiveness even on this tome called Joyful Vows, and it gives her +3 attack on top of her monstrous attack. And if a visible status or visible bonus is active on Micaiah, then it grants her +6 attack and resistance during the combat, and the foe cannot make a follow-up attack. So it's basically like an impact effect, which is super good. Now Micaiah could always run an impact skill on slot A, but this just frees up her slot A to run something else, and having an impact effect on her weapon is super good. And because she's a duo unit, she's going to be having some kind of dual effect, so I do think she's going to be pretty annoying to face in Arena, because the kind of nuke she is, and because of the effective damage that she has got on armored units, basically. So pretty powerful weapon, I would say. And Sacrifice is her signature skill, so she has got that. Attack Rest, Push 4, and Mystic Boost. This is the first time Mystic Boost is present on any other unit other than Air. I thought it would always be locked to Air, but I guess not. And her slot C skill is Attack Rest, Oath. So overall, Micaiah is just how she has always been, high attack, high resistance nuke with pretty low speed and pretty low defense, and they actually do show her stats over here. So she does have this duo skill, and it does introduce a new status effect called Dominance. So this grants dominance effect to units and allies within 3 columns centered on Micaiah, and it inflicts -7 defense and resistance to foe in that column. And dominance effect is basically giving you more damage based on the penalties present on the foe. A lot of people have been saying this is the broadleaf effect, but if you look at broadleaf fans wording, it's definitely different, because broadleaf fan says it adds the penalties to the unit's attack, and here dominance says that it lets you deal additional damage based on the penalties. So this could mean that this gives you true damage. We're not really too sure, because this is a new status effect, and Intelligent Systems many times has done really heavy mistranslations. So I still want to see what this actually is, if it's a broadly fan effect or if it's like giving you true damage. But whatever it is out of those two effects, this is still a very strong effect, because this can help your unit to do much more damage, and Micaiah already has pretty good attack, as you could see on the side screen. So she can basically make any kind of Vantage Sweeper have more attack in Ether Raids, which is super useful for someone like Kronia, I guess, who already like sets up Vantage with Athame and can run another slot B skill. But Micaiah is going to be occupying that slot of a support unit. Micaiah herself can actually be a main unit where you can just use her as a close counter Vantage unit, and I have personally used Brave Micaiah and even have got to tier 27 multiple times with just like unmerged Brave Micaiah. So like this Bridal Micaiah is much more powerful than Brave Micaiah just in terms of pure damage output. So that can be super good, and there's definitely a lot of potential there. So I'm really interested in seeing what this effect actually does, and if there's any kind of like mistranslation or if it literally does what it says. Also, the AoE is a bit restrictive, I would say. Maps like in Ether Raids, it's super good, but it wants the foes to be in this column right here. On many maps, like the sideways map, many times as you face in Arena Assault and stuff like that, so there it couldn't be that helpful to you, but nonetheless, this is a really powerful duo effect, and it also doesn't have any kind of restriction. Like, this effect can be given to anyone: infantry, armored, flying, cavalry, just literally any unit. You just need to be in the AoE basically. So big fan of this Micaiah right here. Very powerful unit, and because she's a colorless unit, she doesn't really have any kind of weapon strangle disadvantage aside from Raven Tomes, obviously. So this can help her nuke pretty well, because she's not going to be facing the weapon strangle disadvantage most of the time. And this can also help her take less damage from many attacks. Brave Micaiah, like I use Brave Micaiah a lot And, you know, anytime there's any kind of red nuke, she is going to be struggling because of the weapon struggle disadvantage. So colorless Micaiah doesn't have to worry about that. And this completes Micaiah Emblem with all of the colors. So that is really good for balance, I guess. You have Micaiah of each color. They all do effective damage against cavalry and armored units. And we're also going to be getting a Tempest Trial Unit and Groom Hinata, which is really interesting because a lot of people also expected Hinata, but many people didn't really consider that because he's not the most popular retainer, I would say, in Fates. But nonetheless, Fury Master gets another chance, another ult. This time he doesn't have Fury though. He has got Attack Defense Bond as a slotty skill, and he has got Close Guard as a slotty skill. He's a Axe unit, and his Axe has got the same effect as Oboro. And this inheritable Axe is really good for a lot of Axe units, I would say. I'm pretty curious about Hinata, how his stat spread is going to be, and if he's going to be like a mixed tank completely with low speed and really good mixed bulk. So that is the Bridal Banner that we're getting this year. It's mainly Tellius units and a bit of Fates units in Oboro and Hinata. Let me know about your thoughts on this banner in the comment section down below. And I want to thank all of my YouTube members for their support. If you enjoyed this video, then please be sure to leave a like and a comment, helps me tremendously. And be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because expecting YouTube sub boxes to work is like expecting Micaiah to not have effective damage against armored and cavalry units. So that being said, I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much for watching and have a great day.